And I confirmed he didn't go there on accident. He had seen the email warning that we would be on Zoom. He just had a prior meeting there, and he's tougher than a lot of us, so he can get out in the snow safely and be nimble throughout the city. So we will, that was fun, little roundtable. Hopefully you all enjoyed that. Very similar to sitting down at Big Grove and breaking bread together. But I think we made the right call in moving this to Zoom. I have to give some credit to my advisor, Devin Van Holstein. He called yesterday, and I'm one that would have maybe said, let's tough it out. Let's go, let's have our meeting in person. But I could just hear this kind of voice of reasoning on the other end of the call. And Devin said, no, Ryan, I think this is going to be a pretty strong storm. It's going to be all it's been booked up to be. Let's go ahead and move it to Zoom. And he was right. I'm glad I listened. And we're going to have a good meeting regardless of the weather outside. Devin also had to make a little bit of a pivot for our programming today. So I was kind of thinking of how he's so adept at doing that. And it reminded me of Caitlin Clark. He's kind of like, they say she's got the basketball on a yo-yo essentially. And I think Devin's kind of got our whole programming schedule just on a yo-yo where he can, pivot, make moves, and always pull out a excellent program option for us. So we do have that coming a little bit later on. What else do we got? How about any guests or visitors? If you are a guest, I know we've got at least one because she was in my Zoom room, but would you like to take yourself off of mute? Tell us who you are, where you work, and who you're a guest of.
Sure. I'm Ashley Hopkins. I work for Borough Land Trust, and I'm a guest of Linda Farkas's.
And and we're completing her paperwork to become a member.
Woo-hoo. Nice. Yes, great talking to you, Ashley. In our room, everybody get a chance to meet Ashley, and obviously we'll welcome her into our club here as she completes orientation and goes through all those fun steps. I don't know if there's any visiting Rotarians as I scroll through here. I may be missing one or two. Speak up if you want to be recognized. But I think at this time we're going to break things up a little bit, and the young man I was just singing the praises of, Devin Van Holstein, is going to share with us the first ever 3 minutes of Rotary DEI. So Devin, take it away.
Yeah, so this is the first of a series, correct me if I'm wrong, jurist committee members, but our plan is to talk about why DEI matters to our club, why it matters to us personally, more so once a month, just 3 minutes to talk about that from the lens of each of us on the committee, and then more broadly to the rest of the club. So I get to start. Don't hold me against the rest of the committee members. So you can look forward to them, even if this one's not great. But without further ado, I have had the pleasure of working both here within the club on this committee, but then also professionally with Liz Tovar over at the University of Iowa, who leads the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And if you were here back in November, if I remember my programming dates correctly, she did a great presentation on the work that she and her team and that she's leading the university in. And the things that have really stuck with me that I've learned from her and from her team are that becoming a more diverse and more equitable and more inclusive place or group or organization or just person is all about being welcoming and inclusive to everybody. And that's something that I think all of us here within Rotary really believe in and care about, because a service club is about bringing in new folks. It's about serving the community. It's about connecting with all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life. And that's one of the things that I've really, really valued about Rotary. And through some of the trainings that I've gotten to take both on the Rotary side and at the university, there's just a long way to go, right? To make sure that everybody feels welcome and included and able to walk through the doors, whether that's things that we do things that we can say, things that we can set up systematically, or just barriers that we need to think about that we're not aware of. It makes me really excited to be part of a club that is thinking about these things and that's putting some things into action, and to be around people who are a lot smarter than I am about these things, because I grew up in Northwest Iowa, very privileged person, majority like white male sort of person. So having gone through these trainings, it's just like a reminder that there's a lot of things that I have gotten that other people have not gotten as easily, and that there's just a lot of work to be done. And Rotary is uniquely positioned to be part of that conversation, and our club can be part of becoming a welcoming and inclusive place within Rotary and within this community, which Iowa City is great, and there's a lot more things that we can do. So that's my 3 minutes. It's probably not 3 minutes, but that's why it's important to me.
Very good. Thank you, Devin. And I didn't even set a stopwatch on you, so it was perfectly timed and on point. Very good. I think we can all be proud of the work we're doing as a club in that space, and look for, even greater outcomes as a result of our focus on it. So thank you for sharing, Devin. And like you said, we'll do that once a month, on the second Tuesday of the month, I believe, and just kind of make that a regular part of our meetings. So, okay, it is announcement time. Linda Farkas, would you like to make an announcement about the upcoming Stella Dine Out opportunities, or?
I can do it. What about Patty? Are you on? Because I think it would be good to hear from you or somebody.
I am here, Linda, but I'm having video problems. So please go ahead.
Okay, I will do that. Okay, so February 22nd and March 1st, we're doing a dine-in at Stella's, and it's from 4 to 7. And please go have dinner, please, and invite your friends, your relatives, anybody you meet on the street. We will get 15% of the profits that night for our youth leadership, RILA and World Affairs students. And it's going to be a great fun. And we would hope to see, I'm going to be there on March 1st. I'm going to start gathering a large table. So I just want everybody to know this is going to be also a good time to have just fun, to go out and meet other Rotarians. So just thought I'd let you know. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Linda, quick question. Does carryout count if you make it known to them when you buy carryout that you're with this Rotary Club?
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. I will make sure you tell them, and they will include that. Patty, can we make sure they know we may have some carryout?
Yep, they're good with carryout. Perfectly fine.
And since it starts at 4 o'clock, if you want to go have cocktails at 4 and then weave your way into dinner, I don't care about that either. Just and have a lot of drinks, but drive safely afterwards.
Good advice.
I'm good.
Yeah, thank you,
Or
Linda.
don't drive at all.
Uber.
There you go. There you go.
Margaret, you've got your hand raised.
There, okay. Yes, I do have an announcement about our fearless leader here in his car looking for a Wi-Fi spot where he can connect to the meeting. Ryan Bell received really awesome news last week that I would like to share. He has been named the head coach for both boys and girls track and field at Regina in this next year, because we have not managed to keep him busy enough. So he has time to take that on too. So anyway, kudos to Ryan and congratulations. Thank
you, Margaret. I appreciate it. Yes, I've taken on more responsibility. I've always been associated with the program, so it's fun to be the boss now. I hope. I'll let you know in about 3 months.
Yeah, good luck to you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised. If other announcements are out there, please raise your hand or just chime in here. I'll just quickly mention again, the district conference is coming up April 22nd. Please register for that. There is still early bird registration available, so you can save a few bucks. And there's a contest out there for which local club can get the biggest percentage of its membership to this district conference. And I will just say right now, Deb Dunkhase's club is kicking our butt, which they do in some of these things, but we can still make some headway, get some of our members there. If you're a new member, go to it. You'll learn a lot about Rotary. If you're an established member, you know, go to it and you'll see a lot of your old friends throughout the district. It'll be a good time for all. The dine out I was going to mention, but I think that's it for announcements, and I don't see any other hands raised. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Margaret Reese, who is going to introduce our speaker for today.
Thank you, Ryan. I am really thrilled and delighted to introduce Deb Dunkhase to you if you don't know her already. She is co-founder and co-director of Open Heartland here in Iowa City, and that's what she'll be talking about today. She has recently returned from the Iowa Most surgery program in Guatemala, a very key member of that team, and she is a very recent past president of the Iowa City AM Rotary Club. So Deb absolutely personifies service above self as a Rotarian. I first met Deb a number of years ago when I was the chair of the board of the Iowa Children's Museum, when it was in the design, construction, fundraising, et cetera, stage. And she came on as the director of education for the Iowa Children's Museum to help design the spaces. She designed the curriculum and helped so much in developing the vision for the museum. And she soon became the executive director of the museum, retiring after 20 years with tremendous success, as many of you probably know also. She has been very poor at being inactive since that retirement. She has way too much to give to all of us, to Rotary and to our community. It's really in her DNA to be busy and to be contributing. And so she co-founded this organization, Open Heartland, that she's going to talk to us about today. So really, it is just a huge pleasure to introduce her, and you are going to enjoy hearing what she has to say. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Margaret. I appreciate that intro, especially the part that I'm so poor at actually relaxing and retiring, because that's so absolutely true. So I am going to try to share my screen with you. Let's see if we can get this to work. Okay. So, we're almost there. Just need. So I just need to get to the top of the screen. I don't know if anybody can help me with that. Can you do that, Devin, from your end?
Can't quite,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you can move your mouse up to the top left, there's that present icon right next to the undo.
Yeah, that's not showing on mine. Am I close to it?
Oh, so
Sorry,
we're doing
you
this
can't
to the right, just a teeny bit.
Yep.
See if it'll catch up. Otherwise, can you hit F5? Does anybody else know? I think that's the
F5.
Yeah.
You can also go down near the Zoom on the bottom right-hand corner, and there should be a present button down there as well.
Oh yeah, right next to the little negative icon. That little.
Right.
Yep, just a little further to the right. Further.
Here?
Yeah. Go. Yep, that's
Yep.
the one.
Oh my gosh, thank you all very much. Super. Now we got it. Okay. So I am really excited to share with you about Open Heartland. We're a fairly young nonprofit. And I guess the thing I would say about Open Heartland that's most meaningful to me, and is kind of appropriate since this is Valentine's Day week, but Open Heartland has from the very initial beginning been a labor of love. In this group today, I'm sure that many of you are parents, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles. All of you, I'm sure, have children in your life in one form or another. One thing I know for sure in life is that there is not a parent in the entire universe that doesn't want the very best for their child. But we all know that not every parent has the same opportunities for their kids as many of us do. The mission of Open Heartland is to celebrate the richness and strength of our diverse community by fostering inclusivity, building relationships, and reaffirming our shared humanity. We founded Open Heartland in March of 2019. We didn't become a nonprofit right away. That really was never our plan, but we are currently a 501c3 nonprofit. We serve immigrants that originate from Central America and Mexico. And these families that we're serving come to our community in search of a better life for their children that is free from violence, lack of access to education and healthcare, and many, many times poverty that's unimaginable. Open Heartland is guided by the principle that every person on this planet deserves the right to justice, equity, inclusion, respect, and compassion. Many of the things that you were talking about, Devin, when you gave your DEI overview. And we are influenced by Rotary. We believe deeply in service above self at Open Heartland. We have 3 core values, super simple: never judge another person, follow the golden rule, and give without expectation. Those are our core values at Open Heartland. Elizabeth Bernal and myself are the 2 founders. And Elizabeth this woman is a force of nature. Elizabeth came to the Iowa City community. I actually don't know how long she's been here, but probably about 15 years or so. She was born in Mexico. She's a single mom with 5 kids and now a couple grandchildren. The reason Elizabeth is so devoted to Open Heartland is because this community has been so helpful and supportive of her. When she came here, she actually immigrated to from Mexico to California, lived in California for a while, suffered some domestic abuse. One day she gathered up her kids, went to the bus station. I think she said, if I remember this right, $118 she had on hand, went to the ticket counter and said, I've got $118. Where can this take my children and I? And the ticket agent said, you know, I've heard that Iowa is a pretty good place to live. Why don't you go to Iowa? And that's how she actually got here. Her welcome to the Iowa City community was a really positive experience for her. And so Elizabeth feels really compelled to give back to her community, to other immigrants that come to Iowa City. For me, my why about why I'm doing Open Heartland really did originate in Rotary. Fortunately for me, Gary and Nancy Pasha some years ago invited me to go on the Iowa Most Cleft Palate mission to Guatemala as a non-medical volunteer. And the families that I met, the children that we serve in Guatemala, we just make such a huge difference in their lives. And this little kiddo is Bresley, and Bresley actually is a twin. Bresley was born with cleft lip and palate, and her twin was not. So Bresley's twin, had she not come to Iowa Most for surgery, their twin would have gone off to school, led a normal life, but Bresley probably would have been kept at home because children are not encouraged and sometimes not even allowed to go to school in Guatemala if they have cleft birth defects. So you can see how Bresley is changing over the years. This beautiful, sweet little girl. Bresley's on the right as you're facing the screen. And I actually got to see her this past month when I was down there in January. And I had to put these 2 girls together and really study their faces to see the difference between Bresley and her twin. This experience of Iowa Most and getting to know the challenges that these families from Central America and Mexico face in terms of poverty and healthcare and education gave me such a deep appreciation for the immigrants that come to our community. That's my why. That's why I am involved with Open Heartland, and that's why I devote so much of my energy to Open Heartland. So you might ask, why are we serving Latino families? One of the reasons is that 70% of the Latino families living in Iowa have children under the age of 18. Latinos constitute 6% of the state's total population, which is 130% growth change in the population from the year 2000 to 2017. But in my mind, the most important reason that Open Heartland serves the immigrant families coming from Central America and Mexico is that they receive no support from our local or national government, unlike immigrants and refugees from other parts of the world. And that has everything to do with their legal documentation status. It's really, really tough for these immigrants to be here with documentation. We believe that small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, truly can transform the world. I mean, I really think that's what Rotary is all about. We are 100% grassroots driven by volunteers. We have no paid staff. We are deeply committed to helping our community become a home to our Latino, Latinx community members. So how did this all begin? It actually all began with Gary's wife, Nancy Pasha. When I retired from the Children's Museum, Nancy said to me, "You have got to meet this woman, Elizabeth Bernal." And so they came to my house. We sat on the porch one spring day having coffee. And by the end of an hour and a half, Elizabeth and I had decided that we wanted to do something. We didn't know what yet, but we wanted to do something to try to make this community more welcoming to immigrants from Central America and Mexico. And so we decided that first summer of 2019, we didn't have any money, we didn't have any resources, but we had a lot of time. We're like, let's go to each of 5 different mobile home communities. And we'd go in the afternoon. We would spend from about 4 o'clock to 6:30 every day, Monday through Friday, all summer long. We filled our cars with cardboard and masking tape and markers, and we just started playing with the kids, right? I know this from all of my history at the Children's Museum. It doesn't matter what you do, where you are, what resources you have, what kind of an environment you have, kids will play no matter what. It's what they're built to do. And so we would just start playing with the kids. And every week, kids would come out, we would play, we would build things, get to know the kids. And after a couple of weeks, the adults started coming out of the trailers wondering, who are these strange ladies and what are they doing with my kids? It was all about building relationships. Elizabeth and I didn't go into Open Heartland saying, we know what needs to be done for these families to help them feel welcome in this community. We started this project, this initiative by saying, we want to get to know the families who are living here and what they need. And so that entire summer was spent building relationships. And it worked. We got to know the families. We got to know what their needs were. We started providing, just by asking our friends, we started providing a little bit of food, clothes, lots of books and toys for kids. And we, that fall, did a small back to school event where we helped about 70 kids with school backpacks and school supplies. And then, of course, once we knew these families, and we were at about 70 families or so, we realized they didn't have winter gear to start the winter. So we did a really small winter coat drive that winter as well. And again, we believe that no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. So building these friendships was really meaningful to the families we were building relationships with and to us. And then, of course, COVID happened. And when COVID occurred, when the pandemic happened, we felt that that was our call to action. That was when we formed a 501c3 for Open Heartland. We were hearing from all of our immigrant families that we were serving, that they were losing their jobs. They were seeing their hours cut, their normal hours of 25 to 30 hours a week were being cut to 5 hours, or they were being laid off completely. I know that COVID had a huge impact on everyone, but it dramatically hit the Latino immigrant community who were already living on the edge of survival when it comes to poverty level. The families we befriended were now supporting their families on the meager minimum wages, working 5 to 8 hours a week. They were not getting support from our government. And no matter what your political position is on immigration and the undocumented families living in our community, we knew that families with children were now in dire danger of homelessness and hunger. And so one of my mentors and true heroes in life, Herb Wilson, when I first started at the Children's Museum, he brought me this coat. He said, "Here, Deb, this is all you need to know. This is all you need to do the work at the Children's Museum. Start by doing what's necessary, then what is possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible." And for those of you who knew Herb, he was a big fan of inspirational quotes. And I actually took his words very to heart. So we thought about what can we do for the families during the pandemic? What is absolutely necessary? And what was absolutely necessary at that point in time was helping families not go to bed hungry at the end of the day. And so we started a weekly distribution of food essentials, just the very basics: rice, beans, maseca flour, oil, toilet paper, and soap. And in this community, we're incredibly fortunate because we have a really strong food banks with the Coralville Food Bank community, as well as lots and lots of churches help provide food to families in need. But we also had learned that for our immigrant families that we were working with, oftentimes they're not familiar with the foods that the food banks provide, or they're just not comfortable going for whatever reason. So we asked, the reason we came up with this list of foods, we asked the mothers living in the mobile home communities what they needed to feed their families. We listened, big part of communication, and then we raised money locally to provide the simple basic necessities that they needed to feed their families. We have a lot of help putting these bags of food together. We're able to purchase everything in bulk at cost from Acapulco Bakery and Market over on the south side of Iowa City. We have great volunteers who come in periodically from Big Grove, the Altrusa Club, the Satellite Rotary Club, and the Rotaractors come in every month. And many of our Open Heartland families come in weekly to help us bag up the food. We also have a tremendous working relationship with Grow Johnson County. From the moment that produce is ripe, they provide weekly produce to our families, probably about starting June 1st through October. We also have a great relationship with Table to Table, so we're able to get a lot of fresh produce and sometimes proteins from Table to Table on a periodic basis. According to the data from Feeding America in Johnson County, and we are an incredibly, privileged, really well-off county, still almost 8% of our population is going to bed hungry every night. In June of 2022, we were giving out 125 bags of food a week. By September, by this last fall, we were giving out 200 bags a week. And that number is staying very consistent. Some of the other things that we do, that original back to school event that we started back in 2019 has grown. We are now doing it every year with the support of Geico. This past year, we provided over 2,000 kiddos with backpacks and school supplies. And we do an event at each of 5, 6, 7 different mobile home communities where we take the resources to the kids. But of course, they can come to Open Heartland anytime during the year to replenish the backpacks or school supplies. We started a new relationship with an international or a national company called Shoes That Fit this past year. We did an athletic shoe distribution. We were able to raise enough money to give away 302 pairs of shoes to students that from preschool through college age. And that is just a fraction of the number of kids that need them, but it was a great place for us to start. So we'll be doing that again this September in 2023. Because that first year, we found that so many kids were not prepared for winter when it comes to clothes. We started a winter coat, hat, mittens drive and distribution. So every year we've been giving away winter coats. It happens once in the fall. And then of course we have stock on hand that we're able to give kids every year. The kiddo on the right is actually wearing one of the Rotary Coats for Kids coats. So thanks for help from Rotary and Geico, we've been able to continue this. And then one of the other big events we do every year is we have a Santa's Elves holiday event. This is our 5th year that we've done it in 2022. We started out the first year doing 90 families where we paired up with community members to help buy gifts for local families. This year we worked with 320 families, so that event has really grown. In addition to the bag of gifts for every family, we were able to provide every family with a dozen fresh tamales, bags of food staples for the holidays. Thanks to the dental school, we're able to provide toothbrushes and toothpaste. And thanks to, I can't even name all the bakers in town who helped made homemade Christmas cookies. Everybody went home with a dozen of homemade Christmas cookies. This year, we were really privileged that we were able to raise enough money in the community that we also gave every one of the 320 families $100 cash for them to spend as they saw fit. Some families may have spent it on rent, food, maybe they just went out to McDonald's. There are no restrictions to it. It's just their money to spend as they like. In addition, the financial support from this community has helped us distribute thousands of bags of hygiene, cleaning, and disinfecting supplies. This became really important during the pandemic and remains important to our families. Helping families with rent is really not what we do, but we do whatever families are in need of. And so there are occasions when we're able to help families pay their rent or utilities, thus securing their shelter. So far, we've helped over 100 individuals do that. One of the most fun things that we do at Open Heartland is we have a little small tienda that's filled with clothes, books, toys, kitchen items, blankets, towels, and more. Most of it is gently used. A few things are new. Everything in our tienda is donated by community members, and everything is absolutely gratis and free to our families. So families can come in. You don't have to register. You don't have to tell us who you are, why you need it. You can take a couple items. You can take garbage bags full of items. It gets replenished every week. We have lots and lots and lots of donations that come in. We accept donations on Monday through Friday from 2 to 5 if anybody's interested in doing some spring cleaning. One of the things that I'm most proud of that we've done with Open Heartland is during the pandemic, when Iowa City schools went online, we opened a learning nest. And we had space donated by Parkview Church. It hadn't been used for a while, so we cleaned it all up. We decorated it. Of course, we followed safety protocols for being open during COVID. And we had a space for families to come. And the school district, of course, gave families hotspots. But when you've got 4 or 5 kids in a trailer using a hotspot, doesn't always work. So kids were able to attend online classes at Open Heartland. These are just some photos of the kids studying, and the whole family came, right? So we had babies during our online school as well as school-age kids. We at our Learning Nest provided school supplies, lunch, snacks, educational resources. We helped with homework, books, hands-on activities, and we helped translate for parents so parents better understood what was going on with their kids in the school. We did lots and lots of activities to help kids process what was happening in the school environment, because as all of you know, it's super tough to sit at a computer all day for a kiddo. I think one of the unintended outcomes of our Learning Nest was the amount of support we were able to give parents so that parents felt less disconnected from schools and better understood what their kids were doing. We did lots and lots of special programs that year. We zoomed in music programs from Boulder, Colorado. We worked with the University Mobile Clinic to provide health education programs about COVID, among other things. This is just a thank you note from one of our kiddos and her little picture that she gave us that she loved the nest. We believe, as do all Rotarians, that the greatest good is what we can do for others, and that's what inspires us at Open Heartland every day. During the Learning Nest stage, we decided that we could help parents. We didn't have to just provide resources for kids. And so we started teaching English classes at the center. While the kids were in school, we would do English class for parents. We started a sewing club because we have many people who want to try to start a home business, or maybe they just want to sew or repair their kids' clothes, their own clothes. So we're doing a sewing club. All of these continue on. We have in-house legal counsel for several hours a week, and everything again is free. We do a computer education class for adults. We have arts and crafts club. We do tutoring for all school-age kids. We have a Spanish book club for adults. We do family leadership training, help prepare adults for taking their GEDs. We provide meeting space for the Iowa City PTOs, as well as many other groups in town, including Rotary. We provide meeting space for the Eastern Iowa Bond Project. We do career counseling, citizenship prep support. And I have to share, one of the ladies that I helped prepare actually got her citizenship about 2 months ago. It's super tough to study for, I'll tell you that. And we do lots of cultural family events to try to help families feel more involved in this community. This is one of our current English classes. They meet on Saturdays from 5 to 6. Again, you don't have to register. We try to make this really accessible. The numbers change where we vary from 8 to about 15 people every single week. And I wanted to add too, one of the really unique things about Open Heartland is we are a very flat organization. All the decisions that are made within Open Heartland as to what programs, what activities do we do, they come from our leadership team. And these are some of the members of our leadership team. Elizabeth and I, as the founders, we don't make the decisions. Our board of directors, they don't make the decisions, but these ladies meet regularly about once every 6 weeks. And we sit down and we talk about what do they need? What are they having issues with? How can we help? That's how we set the goals and the activities for Open Heartland. That's exactly how we developed a relationship with the University of Iowa Mobile Medical Clinic. Our families were saying they didn't have access to healthcare. They didn't have the money to go to a doctor. They don't have health insurance because of their undocumented status. So we started a free medical clinic with the mobile clinic, and we continue to do that. They come about every 6 weeks. One of the other things that also came from our leadership team is one of the moms from Mexico. When she was a young girl, her dream was to become a folklorico dancer. But of course, she had to quit school when she was young, 10 years old, go to work for the family. Her dream never happened. But she thought, because she was in the sewing club, that maybe her daughter could learn to be a dancer. And the moms decided to form a folklorico dance group. We found someone to teach the girls how to dance. The moms designed and sewed all of the costumes themselves. The funny part of the story is the kiddo on the left hand, the one who looks really unhappy dancing, that's Anna's daughter. She's the only dancer that wasn't really thrilled about the dance group. But the girls will be dancing. If anybody wants to attend the Johnson County chapter of the United Nations Association, their night of 1,000 dinners, our girls are going to be dancing for you that night. We started a program called Cantar, Mover, Leer, Sing, Move, and Read to help build the literacy of our families. And this was sponsored with Rotary Literacy grant money, as well as West Music and Antelope Lending Library. This goes on today. The program helps parents gain some tools to promote literacy at home. We also have been the fortunate recipient of 2 different racial justice and social equity grants, all of which provide enrichment programming for kids and adults both this year. We have lots and lots of community partners. We really believe strongly that working together, we achieve more. And so these are just some of the logos of some of the community partners that we work with. We're really grateful for these relationships because this is how we're able to accomplish so much work with the families that we serve. I'm very excited that we recently applied to become a partner with HACAP, and we have been approved. So within the next month, we'll be adding to our weekly food distribution, protein-rich foods, diapers, and now we'll have access to fresh produce all year long. One of the new things that we'll be doing, instead of folks coming to Open Heartland to have to pick up their food, we will be doing weekly delivery to 3 of the most disadvantaged mobile home communities, as well as a site pickup. If anybody has a desire to volunteer with that, we're looking for volunteers for that program right now. And I'm super excited that we're going to be starting a Spanish class for community members. We're going to be starting the week of March 20th. There'll be 6-week sessions, and we're doing it in partnership with my Spanish school in Panajachel, Guatemala. The school is called Habel Tinamit. They're going to be group classes, and then there will be opportunities for our Spanish language learners to practice with some of the families that we serve at Open Heartland. I think it's going to be really fun. We do one fundraiser a year. It's called Loteria. It's kind of like bingo. It's a Mexican form of bingo. It's super, super fun. It's kind of fast paced. You don't have to speak Spanish to play. Big Grove is hosting it for us on February 28th, 5:30 to 8:30, $1 a card to play. And then you split the cash winnings 50-50 with Open Heartland. So if you want to check out Big Grove's website, that's where you find out about it. No registration. You can just show up and eat and drink, of course. One of the things too that Open Heartland is very focused on is we are super focused on helping locally, but we know that the local help that we provide to families, the support, that it makes a difference globally. And so we are proud of the fact that we're working to activate the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The ones we're most focused on are no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, reduced inequalities, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and of course, partnership for the goals. This is a letter from Silverio, who is Carlita's dad. Carlita found this dress in our tienda. It's how she celebrated her 5th birthday. She was just this beautiful little girl having a birthday party. And her dad thanks us in this letter for being available to the families that come here from Central America and Mexico, opening our doors to them and forming friendships. For Open Heartland, at the end of every day, we ask ourselves, who are all the kids that are growing up in our community that remain invisible to us? And what can we do to help them thrive? We believe that it's really critical to healthy child development for these young souls to find a place where they feel trust, where they feel like they belong, and where they find stability. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, the time is always right to do what's right. And we feel that this is the right thing to do. Our focus every day is to find ways to make this possible, that every child feels safe and valued growing up in this community. We are starting a new program with a group of nursing students this spring called Bienvenidos. And we are going to create welcome packages, kind of like the old welcome wagon. There'll be items like towels and blankets, hygiene items, toothpaste, maybe a gift card to Acapulco, and information about the resources this community has, so that every new family that comes to Open Heartland will be welcomed in this way. And we really rely on the help of volunteers. Volunteers make a difference to what the amount of work that we can accomplish. Our volunteers, just in case you're interested in coming, they help package food, they sort donations for the tienda, they clean and organize the whole facility, but especially the tienda where everybody shops. They play with kids while the moms shop or attend classes. They're advocates for Open Heartland and help us spread the word. Oftentimes help us raise money to support Open Heartland. If you have a special skill or talent, be that sewing or cooking, or I don't know, any kind of special skill or talent, maybe painting, you could start a class or a club that we can help teach some of our families these skills. Or there's always an opportunity to help us with special projects. We're having a big Children's Day celebration in April and a mobile clinic coming up in March. If you're a Spanish speaker, we always need Spanish speakers for that. So in conclusion, the actions of Open Heartland are deeply rooted in service above self. You would think this is a Rotary project, even though it's not. We believe that there is no more impactful way to truly help make the world a better place for everyone than by helping a child gain access to healthy food, access to a safe home, a good education, and knowing that the community where they grow up truly cares about them. That is what Open Heartland is all about. We've got a couple minutes if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Deb. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, you can raise your hand with the good old fashioned Zoom emojis and pop in. Looks like Linda has a question. Go ahead.
Sure.
Hi, Deb. It's Linda Farkas. How could our DEI committee help in any way?
That's a really, really good question. I'm going to have to think about that. I mean, we have all of our normal volunteer opportunities, but I mean, I think one of the big ways, and we'll have to ponder this and think about what's a good strategy, but just getting the immigrant community to be more integral in the greater community, I think would be a great DEI goal. What does that look like? Maybe it could be like a big picnic. Doesn't the Noon Group have a picnic or something like that, where you celebrate in the park? Or is that like an old thing from 20 years ago, maybe? Maybe
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
old.
It's old, okay. So maybe it's like having some kind of an event where we just all come together, get to know each other. It could be we're starting these coffee circles where Spanish learners can communicate with our Spanish speakers, but maybe we do the reverse. A lot of our Spanish speakers are learning to speak English. Maybe you all want to have coffee circles with them where they can practice their English with you. I think there are lots and lots of opportunities, but I think the key thing is just to get us all blended together.
Thanks. Well, you and I can talk about that later.
Okay, thanks for that,
Sounds
Linda.
good. Mm-hmm.
I think that just because we don't have picnics anymore in our club doesn't mean that we can't start it up again and do it in the way that you're suggesting, or something like that, some kind of event. So it's something to discuss and think about.
you know, it's kind of a human nature thing, sharing food and chit-chatting. It doesn't have to be coffee, but could be coffee. It's just how people connect. And so if you're building relationships and getting to know each other, getting to know the community, it's always a good thing to do it over food.
Pete Wallace?
I think maybe I've known Deb as long or longer than anybody else I see here today. And I think you can tell from this presentation that she is a glowing example of service above self. And I've told her this before, I have a list of givers in our community and she's number one.
Oh, thank you,
Deb.
Pete. Coming from you, that means a lot. Thank you.
Very nice. Well, I don't see any other questions. Deb, thank you so much for doing this on short notice and doing an absolutely marvelous job like we knew you would. But we appreciate your time and effort. We will be putting 70 polio vaccines out into the world as a thank you for your time spent here with us today. And I don't know if we'll have the 4-way test pulled up, probably not. We'll have to all recite it off the top of our heads. But before we get to that, anybody going to the Buckeye game tonight? Is it still on? Does anybody know? I've been lucky enough to score some great seats, so I'm really hopeful that game is played, and let's go Hawks. I'll just put that out there. Okay. Thank you all for making time today. This was great. This was, a fantastic meeting. Thank you, Deb, for being here. Again, special thanks to Devin for working the puppet strings and making all this sort of come together very smoothly and just like we know what we're doing. So I appreciate it. I'll go ahead and start us in the reciting of the 4-way tests of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial for all concerned?
Beautiful. You all are awesome. We'll see you again at Big Grove next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.